master praised the dishonest steward for his astuteness. What? How can this be? There can be little doubt, it's pretty plain from the story, that the steward is engaged in fraud. It's a kind of insurance policy as he loses his job. What on earth could Jesus mean? Surely there can be no positive moral teaching, ancient or modern, that could approve of this behaviour. It's more like the practices of the Godfather than the Gospels. Well, scholars, people who look into these things and study them and expound them, people, I suppose, a bit like me, better than me, they have various ways of interpreting it. One explanation, which in its own way I think is astute, is that the steward all he was doing was striking off the interest which was due by the master's debtors. Now, Jews were forbidden to lend to Jews at interest at this time. So perhaps the steward was just putting things right. Perhaps that's why the master thought he was wasteful with his goods, because he was too kind and generous. Well, it's a possible interpretation, might be true, but I can't help feeling that it's an attempt to explain this parable away, to make it more comfortable, to sanitize it, if you like, make it less discomforting. Another interpretation points out that Jesus often uses what we might think of as inappropriate or odd examples to make a point, a different point than the one that might be the first obvious one. He talks about camels going through the eyes of needles, planks in people's eyes, straining the gnat and swallowing the camel, a different camel presumably. And in the parable of the labourers in the vineyard, those who had worked hard all day felt they'd been treated grossly unfairly. Jesus isn't praising unfairness, so the thinking goes, but calling for commitment, for tenacity, for perseverance. Well, it could be. But for my part, I prefer a slightly different view. Not totally different from the last one, but slightly different. It's that Jesus sees the good in everybody. The good in the prodigal son. The good in the Roman soldiers. The good in the adulterous woman. The good in the Samaritan. The good in the poor, the blind, the lame. The good in the lepers. The good in the unjust steward.